thank you again. I'm really happy that I can be here with you virtually. It's actually my second conference, and I'm very pleased that I can talk about my team experience with designing a research program, impact research program, and the title of the program is the title actually of our presentation, The Social and Economic Impact of Polish Public Libraries. I will start by giving you some context about public libraries in our country, and then I will say a word about the general development of research on libraries' impact in Poland. Then I will tell you about our work, what was its purpose and what we managed to achieve till now. I would like to say that this is an ongoing project. We are still working on some items and your feedback is very, very welcomed. So instead of some hard conclusions, at the very end, I will present some more soft final thoughts. So let's go. Public libraries in Poland have a quite long history. Maybe that's history news for you. The first public library was opened in 1907 in Warsaw. And it is quite interesting because at the time there was no actually such a country as Poland, but we had a public library. Since then, the network of public libraries has grown tremendously, and you can actually see the numbers on the slide. It is one of the most dense networks in Europe. Libraries have also developed significantly, and they are really modern, in most of the cases, very nice libraries. It is, among other things, of course, thanks to the Library Development Program, which was a Polish branch of a well-known program, Global Libraries. The Library Development Program helped mostly small libraries and branches in rural communities. If you are interested in libraries architecture, you might also have heard about some of our nicer libraries. In 2016, Rumia's Culture Station was named the most beautiful library in the world, and you can actually see the interior of this library on the slide. Okay, so that's the end of the good news, to be honest. The number of public libraries in Poland is falling since 1990s, and in the last year, the decrease was quite shocking for me, and it was quite big. In 2020, nearly 100 public libraries were closed, and many of them have been merged with other institutions, such as cultural centers or professional development centers. This is not a bad phenomenon in itself. Many of them function very well with this cooperation, but too often this is the first step in limiting the agency and activity of the libraries. To add some more context and to make this bad news even worse, the closures or the mergers affected mainly library branches, especially those in rural communities. So what we are doing to overcome this problem? Evaluation of the libraries was one of the answers to the threat of closure and limitation of libraries' activity. It was first outlined in 2010 in the strategy of the Polish Librarians Association. A team of representatives of academic, public, and pedagogical libraries formed the team formally in 2013, and the team name is Performance Analysis for Libraries, and please remember that name. The team took upon the task to create the tools and to conduct the research in library statistics, performance indicators, and then satisfaction. It was step after the step process. Important international standards were translated, and something very beautiful happened in 2019, because our very favorite standard, information and documentation, methods and procedures for assessing the impact of libraries, was translated into Polish. And I find this date very important for my heart. It was the real impetus for works on libraries' impact, to be honest. But of course, some stuff was made even earlier. In 2016-17, two very important documents were drafted, and it was conceptualization of research into public libraries' social and economic impact, and the research report on public libraries' social and economic impact. So we had some background when the team of the impact research team was formed as a part of the performance analysis for libraries. And here we are. And if you have seen the abbreviation of performance analysis for libraries, we are your impact house, your impact friends. There are some researchers among us, as myself, but also we have a library instructor, and generally the library instructors works with the local libraries and the librarians with studying libraries, helping conducting those studies. And we also have a director of a very small rural library in the team. So it gives more context about the situation of the majority of libraries, because the majority of libraries in Poland are those small libraries in rural communities. The main goals of our project are to develop the methodology of the social and economic impact study of public libraries in Poland, then to develop a research tool, which we decided to be standard survey questionnaire, and to create a sampling scheme and research organization framework for pilot study. A secondary goal, but quite important because the impact research is not very well known in Poland. The secondary goal is to promote impact of libraries studies, impact of libraries research in the librarian community. So what we did, we spent a lot of time on desk research and by analyzing many articles and reports, also the reports and articles that was included in the proceedings of this conference. We have managed to identify 28 areas of life that can potentially be influenced by libraries or that we already know that are influenced by libraries. On this basis, we have created 8 key categories of life, and you can see those 8 categories on the slide. But as we all know, libraries in different countries are quite different. So before we sat down and started designing the tool, we decided to ask practitioners where they see the impact of their libraries. We invited 17 library directors, library instructors, and library experts and innovators to chat with us. And we conducted in June of this year 3 focus groups. We asked them what changed in libraries during the pandemic and what impact this could have on the functioning of libraries and on impact research. We also asked what evidence of impact they see in their daily work. So we got the information just from the field. We also showed them our key categories and asked them to evaluate if and how their libraries affect these areas of life. And I would like to show you some examples what we were doing. We were working on Jamboard, which is a Google tool, and we asked them to write the proofs of impact and to put them in the groups. It's in Polish, but you can see that they had a lot of ideas and they had a lot of they had some nice ideas about the categories that they belong to. And here's another example when they told us that generally the area of everyday life, they don't really see the impact on this area. That it's not a crucial area in their mind or in their eyes. So summarizing the results from all the 3 groups, because there were some differences between the groups, between the directors, instructors, and experts and innovators. Summarizing those 3 groups, we found the following areas to be the most important for the social and economic impact: education and personal development, social integration, and free time. We found the area of parenting also important. We generally plan to study the adults first, and many of our focus participants told us about the impact on children. So we decided that it would be a good idea to ask the parents or guardians about the impact on their children. It was also during the focus groups that the idea of the modular questionnaire emerged. And to just tell you generally how it works, some of the questions would be answered by all of the respondents, all of the patrons, all of the users. And those would be questions concerning the most important areas: education and personal development, parenting, free time, and social integration. So those in red and yellow. And when it comes to the areas in which not all libraries work, because not all of the libraries have services concerning health or professional activity or cultural heritage, or those services are not on a big scale, these questions would be available in the additional research modules. And now it's the biggest moment of this presentation, because I would like to show you the questionnaire now. It's actually a premiere, and we have, except from Antarctica, it's a world premiere. So I will put the link to the handout in a chat to give you maybe some information what you will see here.
Okay, now the link is in the chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Simone, for help. To give you an idea how the study will look like. First, we will ask how the patrons and their children use the libraries. Then we will like to ask how important for them it is for libraries to impact these 8 key areas of life. And this particular part of the survey was inspired by the SurfQual method. So we just first ask how important it is for you that library is doing something, or that you are achieving something from the library, and then we ask about their experience. Then we propose the essential and additional modules, and based on the subject literature and the librarian statements from the focus groups, we created a catalog of 45 potential benefits arising from the use of public libraries. Then we have the assessment of the impact of public libraries on everyday life. So this area that I showed you, that generally the librarians doesn't think the impact is very high, but some of them said that it is, and we know from the other research that users do see the impact of the libraries on their everyday life. And the patron will be asked to assess which of the public institutions they would turn to solve selected everyday life problems. And at the end, we plan to ask how much would the person pay monthly for the materials and services if the library were closed. When preparing the questionnaire for mid-range pilot, we added the additional questions on such issues as the feeling of missing library services and library space when the library was closed due to the COVID-19, and the negative impact of public libraries, which is a topic that always is very interesting. And now let's go to the general and long-term concept of the research project. This year, we've been preparing the conceptual and methodological framework, as you can see, and as you can hear from me now. Next year, if we obtain the funds, of course, we plan to conduct the qualitative and mid-range pilot in selected libraries. And the year after that, we plan the nationwide pilot on the representative sample. Then there's a phase 4, and this is a local implementation of the research. We plan to provide libraries and librarians with the tool completely free of charge, of course. We plan to train the librarians in conducting research and to support them in analysis and comparisons with others. And some final thoughts. If you have had a look, if you managed in those couple of minutes while I was speaking, if you have had a look at the handout, you can see that at the moment the survey is quite long, and it is too long. This is deliberate, though. We want to improve the survey, and we want to improve our research during the pilots. Now we assume that the functioning of libraries and patrons may have recently changed significantly, and the statistics and librarians' observations haven't caught up yet. So, to give you a metaphor, we decided to sew a larger cloth and then to crop it to fit the new fashion and to fit our patrons and our users perfectly. So we are absolutely ready for modification of the research tool. And we are also in the constant relation and constant talks with the community of public librarians. In 2 weeks, we have a webinar planned, and there would be a Polish premiere of the questionnaire. And we plan to network the libraries which would like to take part in pilot and the final study. So you can see that it is still ongoing, and that we to follow the ARIBA, that we try to encourage people our community in the whole process. And this is my data. This is my email. If you have any questions, if you would like to talk about the research or the questionnaire, please contact me. I would be very happy if you do. And thank you for this opportunity to talk about the project. Thank you very much.